ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 21, Instructions by Maharaj Prithu. We are in the section text 21 to 36, whereas Maharaj Prithu is giving instructions to his citizens. So we have seen the beautiful personality of Maharaj Prithu, the great character. Very rarely the bodily features of a personality will be explained in Bhagavatam, but here Maharaj Prithu is being elaborately explained, his speech is being explained, and now he has begun to give his instruction. And before giving his instruction, the preamble that Maharaj Prithu has, he says that let us come to conclusion together. Like you, I am also seeker. Somehow by the instructions of the Lord, I have become Danda Raja. I am supposed to rule over you and I'm supposed to serve you in that capacity. And uh, so he's saying that I'm teaching this all of you, and I'm teaching this myself. And now Maharaj Prithu comes to text 25. So text 25. ततः प्रजा भर्तुर्पिण्डार्थ स्वार्थमेवानुसूयवः सत्सु sorry कुरुतो ददोक्ष च धीया तर्हि अनुग्रह कृतः. Translation.
Prithu Maharaj continued, "Therefore, my dear citizens, for the welfare of your king after his death, you should execute your duties properly in terms of your positions of Varna and Ashrama, and should always think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within your hearts. By doing so, you will protect your own interests and you will bestow mercy upon your king for his welfare after death." Purport: the words Adhokshaja Dhiyaha, meaning Krishna consciousness, are very important in this verse. The king and the citizens should both be Krishna conscious. Otherwise, both of them will be doomed to lower species of life after death. A responsible government must teach Krishna consciousness very vigorously for the benefit of all. Without Krishna consciousness, neither the state nor the citizens of the state can be responsible. Prithu Maharaj therefore specifically requested the citizens to act in Krishna consciousness. And he was also very anxious to teach them how to become Krishna conscious. A summary of Krishna consciousness is given in Bhagavad Gita 9.27. Yat karoshi yad ashnasi yajju hoshi dadasiyat yat tapassasi kaunteya tat kurushva mada arpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you give in charity, and whatever penances you undergo, should be done in Krishna consciousness or for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If all the people of the state, including the government servants, are taught the techniques of spiritual life, then although everyone is liable to be punished in different ways by the stringent laws of material nature, they will not be implicated. Hare Krishna.
Now Maharaj Prithu says, then Maharaj Prithu continued. Therefore, my dear citizens, for the welfare of your king after his death. So, look at the appeal that, my dear citizens, for my welfare after my death, for welfare of your king after his death, you should execute your duties properly in terms of your position in Varna and Ashrama. Right. Saying that execute your duties very properly in terms of Varna and Ashrama. And always think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within the core of your hearts. So execute duty and always think of Supreme Lord. Very similar, very close to Bhagavad Gita Upadesh. Ma Manusmara Yudhyacha. Right. So this is Ma Manusmara and Yudhyacha simultaneously. By doing so, you will protect your own interest and you will bestow your mercy upon your king by his for his welfare after his death. Such a extreme level of humility that Maharaj Prithu is taking, position of humility, and he is instructing. There is no levelish, there is no iota of any ego, any false ego, nothing. He's saying that just for the welfare of your king, and he is the king, he is the qualified king. For his coronation, all the devatas have descended. His personality is being elaborately explained. Look at the speech of Maharaj Prithu. Right. So this is how he's appealing. Of course, we cannot use this outrightly everywhere, this kind of a speech. At we can appreciate Maharaj Prithu for his amazing humility. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that adhokshajadhiya, meaning Krishna consciousness, is very important. And this is the duty of the responsible king. Maharaj Prithu is a king. And his duty, he says that, my dear citizens, please act according to Varna and Ashrama and please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Hari. And this will do good to you and this will also do good to me. Srila Prabhupada says one has to understand summary of Krishna consciousness. What is that summary of Krishna consciousness? Tasmat kenapi upayena mana Krishna niveshayet. Somehow or other, one has to engage one's mind in Krishna. So engaging mind begins with engaging in the activities. And the activities are yat karoshi, yadashnasi, yat juhosi, dadasi yat. Whatever we are eating, giving in charity, penances, all that is should be done in Krishna consciousness. And for Tat Kurushva Madarpanam, for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. If the people in the state, the government servants, when they are taught like this, then they will not go to some Bhondu captain and such a, in Maharashtra is supposed to be a very progressive state. And many of these politicians and the secretaries, this and that, falling at the feet of one Baba in Nasik, and who is a rogue, right? So people need, what this means. What this means is that people need spiritual shelter. Spirituality is actually it is the only requirement of the soul, but it's a major responsibility and requirement of a soul. And if we do not get attracted to a rightful philosophy, there is always a chance that we may be attracted to some, the false captain. What is happening what is happening currently in Maharashtra? Text 26. Yuyam tat anumodadvam पितृदेव ऋषियामला कर्तुशास्तुः अनुज्ञातुः तुल्यं यत् प्रीत्य तत्फलम्. Translation.
Translation: I request all the pure-hearted demigods, forefathers, and saintly persons to support my proposal, for after death the result of an action is equally shared by its doer, its director, and its supporter. Purport: the government of Prithu Maharaj was perfect because it was administered exactly according to the orders of the Vedic injunctions. Prithu Maharaj has already explained that the chief duty of the government is to see that everyone executes his respective duty and is elevated to the platform of Krishna consciousness. The government should be so conducted that automatically one is elevated to Krishna consciousness. King Prithu therefore wanted his citizens to cooperate fully with him, for if they assented, they would enjoy the same profit as he after death. If Prithu Maharaj, as a perfect king, were elevated to the heavenly planets, the citizens who cooperated by approving of his methods would also be elevated with him. Since the Krishna consciousness movement going on at the present moment is genuine, perfect, and authorized, and is following in the footsteps of Prithu Maharaj, anyone who cooperates with this movement or accepts its principles will get the same result as the workers who are actively propagating Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
So now Prithu Maharaj says, I request all the demigods, forefathers, and the saintly persons to support my proposal. Because after the death, the credits are shared equally by its doer, director, and supporter. Right. Equal benefit for the doer, director, and supporter. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned this is the ideal way of conducting the spiritual government, and the government should be conducted in such a way that one is elevated in Krishna consciousness. So His Grace Radha Gopinath Prabhu, in one of the management seminar, he was saying this beautiful point, temple management. He says, what is the purpose of temple management? So purpose of temple management is facilitate Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam, right? To facilitate the six living exchanges and ultimately raise one's Krishna consciousness. And this is purpose of everything. This is purpose of family. This is purpose of job. This is purpose of any type of governance. The purpose is one has to elevate in Krishna consciousness. And now Krishna consciousness movement, Prabhupada says, is currently going on, is genuine, perfect, and authorized. So by following the footsteps of Prithu Maharaj, now these last two lines are very important. Anyone who cooperates with this movement or accepts its principles will get the same result as the workers who are directly, actively propagating Krishna consciousness. Right? Because the supporter also receives the same destination, and that is Golok Vrindavan. Supporter also receives the same destination. So this is being mentioned by Maharaj Prithu. So therefore, if as per our Yatha Shakti, Yatha Mati, whatever we can able to do for the mission of the Supreme Lord, one should be always supporting the mission of the Supreme Lord in simple different ways. Like if you want to gift something, gift Krishna. Try to Krishnaize our activities without becoming irritating to people or without becoming redundant. So this is also very important. So by being relevant, by being and by uh, remaining very acceptable, one has to always try to push on Krishna consciousness one way or another, directly or indirectly, by this or that. But one should not become redundant. Sometimes people, they are so eager to, enthusiasm of Krishna consciousness, they are so eager to push mala in people's hand, make people then slowly start hating such people, saying that nahi baba, iske paas nahi jana chahiye. So we should not become irrelevant. We should not become redundant. We should not become disliked and hated by people. Not like that. But one should always try in all different ways to propagate the means, the mission of Krishna consciousness. Text 27. So here, the supreme authority of the Lord is being mentioned, and Prabhupada is going to write an elaborate purport to this shloka. Okay, that purport only will go on for 2 days now for us. This is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages of purport Prabhupada writes. Text 27. अस्ति यज्ञपतेर्नाम केषाञ्चित् अर्हसत्तमा ह्यामुत्र च लक्ष्यन्ते ज्योत्स्नावत्स्य क्वचिद् भुवः. Translation.
My dear respectable ladies and gentlemen, according to the authoritative statements of Shastra, there must be a supreme authority who is able to award the respective benefits of our present activities. Otherwise, why should there be persons who are unusually beautiful and powerful, both in this life and in life after death? Purport: Maharaj Pruthu's Prithu Maharaj's sole aim in ruling his kingdom was to raise the citizens to the standard of God consciousness. Since there was a great assembly in the arena of sacrifice, there were different types of men present, but he was especially interested in speaking to those who were not atheists. It has already been explained in the previous verses that Prithu Maharaj advised the citizens to become Adokshaja Dhiya, which means God conscious or Krishna conscious. And in this verse, he especially presents the authority of Shastra, even though his father was a number one atheist who did not abide by the injunctions mentioned in the Vedic Shastras, who practically stopped all sacrificial performances, and who so disgusted the Brahmanas that they not only dethroned him but cursed and killed him. Atheist men do not believe in the existence of God, and thus they understand everything which is happening in our daily affairs to be due to physical arrangement and chance. Atheists believe in the atheistic Sankhya philosophy of the combination of Prakriti and Purusha. They believe only in matter and hold that matter under certain conditions of amalgamation gives rise to the living force, which then appears as Purusha, the enjoyer. Then, by a combination of matter and the living force, the many varieties of material manifestation come into existence. Nor do atheists believe in the injunctions of Vedas. According to them, all the Vedic injunctions are simply theories that have no practical application in life. Taking all this into consideration, Prithu Maharaj suggested that theistic men will solidly reject the views of the atheist on the grounds that there cannot be many varieties of existence without the plan of the supreme intelligence. Atheists are vaguely explained that these varieties of existence occur simply by chance, and these theists who believe in the injunction of the Vedas must reach all their conclusion under the direction of the Vedas.
Yeah, it's a
In
long
the
purport. I've been reading sections. Prithu Maharaj now he says, my dear respectable citizens, according to the authoritative statement of the Shastra, there must be the supreme authority called Ishvara, who is granting karma phala to everyone. Otherwise, how it is that somebody is exceptionally beautiful, powerful, rich, whereas certain section of the society is deprived of all this. So there is somebody who is sitting on the top and awarding the results of one's activities. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, Prithu Maharaj's sole aim in ruling the kingdom is to raise the standard of Krishna consciousness. Okay. So this is an important point. Raise the standard of Krishna consciousness. Everybody is following some standard, and we have to progressively raise the standard, and that is the purpose of government or governance. Now, when Maharaj Prithu is speaking, there were different types of people. We have to say that from which background Maharaj Prithu comes in. Maharaj Prithu's father was Vena, and he was a ruthless atheist. And he had absolutely he stopped all the sacrifices. And whenever you do anything, there are always beneficiary of a certain section of the society which is beneficiary of those activities, and they do remain sympathetic to that particular cause. So in the assembly, Prabhupada writes here, there must be some atheists, and there must be the other people who are not very highly appreciative of Maharaj Prithu. But here Maharaj Prithu is addressing a certain section. He's saying that the worldview of Vaisheshika is not very highly recommended. They think everything happens by the actions and reactions of the matter, and there is no further cause than the matter. They will say nature, and nature is acting, but they will not say, Are nature is inert, matter is inert, where the desire and inspiration to act and the impetus to act is coming from. And that is coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, Prabhupada says, whenever we see variety, variety automatically means there is a personality who is creating that variety. When the Vaisheshikas or when this atheist, when they see variety, they see variety is there, but then what is your answer? By chance. How did I get, the kind of body I have, the kind of, the financial background I'm born with, the parents I'm born with. So, for a devotee, very simple answer. For the theistic, the very simple answer is, very simple explanation is karma phala, right? But for the atheists, there is no answer for this question to them, with them. They will say, oh, this is because of, this is simply by chance. How you got a good body? By chance. How you got a, rich life? By chance. Everything just by chance. And therefore, Prabhupada says, the theistic man should solidly reject these views of atheists on the grounds that there cannot be varieties of existence without the plan of the superior intelligence. Right? Whenever you see design, whenever we see variety, there has to be a plan. You cannot say that that the MacBook and iPhone, they were just there was just a blast in the Apple factory and suddenly MacBook was manufactured. No, there is a plan behind that. There is a design behind that. There is a purpose behind that. And the design, plan, design, and purpose and variegatedness automatically means a personality. And this is how one should very strongly establish the existence of Lord and the theistic worldview. Yeah, please continue.
In the Vishnu Purana, it is said that the entire Varnashrama institution is meant to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The rules and regulations set up for the execution of the duties of Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, or Brahmacharis, Grihasthas, Vanaprasthas, and Sannyasis, are all meant to satisfy the Supreme Lord. At the present moment, although the so-called Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras have lost their original culture, they claim to be Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras by birthright. Yet, they have rejected the proposition that such social and spiritual orders are especially meant for worship of Lord Vishnu. The dangerous Mayavada theory set forth by Shankaracharya that God is impersonal does not tally with the injunctions of the Vedas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore described the Mayavadi philosophers as the greatest offenders against the personality of Godhead. According to the Vedic system, one who does not abide by the orders of the Vedas is called Nastika or atheist. When Lord Buddha preached his theory of non-violence, he was obliged to deny the authority of the Vedas, and for this reason he was considered by the followers of the Vedas to be a Nastik. But although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very clearly enunciated that the followers of Lord Buddha's philosophy are Nastikas or atheists because of their denial of the authority of the Vedas, he considered the Shankarites who wanted to establish Vedic authority by trickery and who actually followed the Mayavada philosophy of Buddha's school to be more dangerous than the Buddhists themselves. The Shankarite philosophers' theory that we have to imagine a shape of God is more dangerous than denial of existence of God. Notwithstanding all the philosophical theorizing by atheists or Mayavadis, the followers of Krishna consciousness rigidly live according to the injunctions given in Bhagavad Gita, which is accepted as the essence of all Vedic scripture. In Bhagavad Gita 18.46, it is said, Yataha pravrittir bhutanam yena sarvam idam tatam swakarmana tam abhyarcha siddhim vidanti manavaha. By worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all pervading, man can, in the performance of his own duty, attain perfection. This indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the original source of everything. As described in the Vedanta Sutra, Janmadhyasya Yataha, the Lord himself also confirms in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Sarvasya Prabhaha. I am the origin of everything. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the original source of all emanations, and at the same time, as Paramatma, he is spread all over existence. The absolute truth is there for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and every living being is meant to satisfy the Supreme Godhead by performing his respective duty. Swakarmana tam abhyarcha. Maharaj Prithu wanted to introduce this formula amongst his citizens.
Yeah. So now, Srila Prabhupada quotes Vishnu Puran and explains that the entire Varnashram institution is Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. So Varnashram is very scientific, And guna karma vibhagashah, based on one's qualities and activities, the society is divided into 4 varnas and 4 ashramas. And this varnashram is extremely scientific and very, very important. And it will always remain. We have seen this multiple times. Instead of claiming the rights only by birthright, one has to claim the rights by guna karma vibhagashah, by the qualities one possesses and by the activities one is performing. Right. Then Prabhupada describes about Mayavad theory. The dangerous Mayavad theory set forth by Adi Shankara that the God is impersonal does not tally with injunctions of the Vedas. So there is a purpose, and Adi Shankara, Shankaracharya, he did phenomenal job with that purpose. We know that how later the entire India just turned to be a Buddhist and completely rejected the Vedas. And that was also according to the plan of Lord Buddha. He had to emergency appear and propagate the theory of non-violence. And he was obliged to deny. Prabhupada used the word obliged. He was obliged to deny the authority of the Vedas. And look at the he, H is small, okay? Because Buddha is also considered as Shaktavesh avatar. He was obliged to deny the authority of the supreme, authority of the Vedas. And thus, because he rejected the Vedas for good or bad reasons, for emergency or apad dharma, this philosophy is never accepted. And therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, although he rejects Buddhist philosophy, but he warns the Mayavad philosophy is even more dangerous. Mayavadam asat sastram prachannam bauddham uchyate. It is covered over atheism. And this Mayavad philosophy, Prabhupada says, is more dangerous than the Buddhists themselves. Because they will say, imagine any shape of the God that you. So Prabhupada says, imagining a shape of the God is worse, is more dangerous than denying the existence of God. Right. And therefore, followers of Krishna consciousness should very carefully know what is the purpose of the Mayavad philosophy and what is the limitation of Mayavad philosophy, and ultimately how Mayavad philosophy can be very highly hurting to one's Krishna consciousness. Even Adi Shankara himself, although he preached Mayavad, but he himself is a pure devotee, right? Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambho. And then towards the concluding part of his life, glorious life, Adi Shankara. At the age of 8, he took sannyas, and at the age of 32, he departed from this world. And in just 24 years, he traveled the length and breadth of India and completely diminished Buddhism and established the Vedas, the authority of the Vedas. For doing so, he had to propagate a certain vad, that is Mayavad, but the Adi Shankara. So one should know why the theory was propagated. The theory was propagated as an emergency measure to reintroduce Vedas. And therefore, one should come to the Vedic conclusion. And what is the Vedic conclusion? The Vedic conclusion is that by performing one's duty very well, swakarmana tamachabhyarcham siddhim vindanti manavah. There cannot be, the glorious philosophy than this. It is not that philosophy doesn't mean that you reject your activities. This is the beautiful message of Bhagavad Gita. It is not that one has to reject one's activities. One has to be engaged according to one's psychophysical nature and offer the results, purify oneself, do contribution to society, and offer results to the Supreme Lord. And this is how beautifully the same message is given by Maharaj Prithu. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai,
Jai.
Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you,
Jai.
Prabhupada. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Prabhupada.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone.
Prabhupada, thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavad Pranam.
Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, everyone. Hare
Thank you, Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you to everyone. Hare Krishna.